Homi Bhabha is a philosopher of Persian origin, born in 1949 in Mumbai, India. He was influenced by the works of Walter Benjamin, Edward Said, Gayatri Chakraborty Spivak, and Franz Fanon. Bhabha's theories on culture, colony, identity, other nation, hybrid culture, third space, etc., have made a significant contribution to post-colonial studies. According to Bhabha, cultural translation is a phenomenon that enables new meanings and cultural structures to emerge in the communication and interaction between different cultures. Cultural translation encompasses the interaction and meaning transfer, the process between cultures, and is the beginning of a new formation. This new formation formed due to cultural translation will join another culture. Bhabha characterizes immigrants living in different countries as translators for any reason, for they experience the phenomenon of in-betweenness every day. Today's multilingual and multicultural environments, the lives of immigrant groups living in big cities, minority ethnicities dominated by the dominant ethnicity, or those in global intercultural communication and contact, expand the meaning of translation. These people influence cultures either unwittingly or intentionally. They constantly act as translators between their own culture and the dominant culture. The idea of hybridity is central to Bhabha's theory of culture. No culture in the world has ever existed in isolation but has always been in contact with other cultures. In geographies where various sovereign powers are active in colonies, the rulers fear whether the rulers will be able to keep others under control. They fear the countries will undermine the authority of the exploitative rulers they rule. According to Bhabha, specific gaps, the third space, are created due to this fear. The synchronous temporality of global and national cultures opens up a cultural space, a third space, where the negotiation of incommensurable differences creates a tension specific to borderline modes of existence. The third space is the space of tension. When individuals from different cultures meet, they meet in a third space that doesn't belong to the culture of either side. Bhabha states that cultural codes are transformed in this meeting process and that this process should be called cultural translation. At this point, translation assumes a function beyond establishing the parallelism of meaning and stands out as the basic building block of intercultural relations in the global world. In the global world, relations and commodities are more hybrid than ever before. In the spaces where colonizer rulers interact with colonized, exiled, or immigrants that are both linguistic and cultural interactions. Homi Bhabha calls this mutually interacting space, where innovations are added to the dominant one to a greater or lesser extent the third space. This space is where social, cultural, linguistic, and literary innovations occur due to the social process and mutual interaction and hybrid identities manifest themselves. This cultural hybridity results from the translation process constantly occurring due to cultural differences. Symbols, narratives, behaviors, values, and identities undergo a process of transformation as a result of these cultural interactions and become hybridized with the blurring of boundaries, reinterpreted and reinterpreted in the third space. As can be seen, for Baba, cultures should be conceived as everyday environments of encounters and meetings where the differences that separate them are intertwined and blurred. In these environments, identities hybridize, dynamic and variable structures are formed, and innovations that don't fully belong to either one culture or the other freely shape themselves. This in-betweenness, which is the source of innovation, points to the environment in which migrants live. According to Baba, it is possible to metaphorically describe the transformation, the emotion, the effort to adapt to new life, and even the resistance of the immigrant to the foreign geography, society, language, and culture in which he finds himself through cultural translation. Baba emphasizes that mixed cultures are more innovative. However, this can be reversed when they are repressed. A mixed culture repressed by governments becomes sick, weak, and unable to keep up with the development of the global world. Baba uses translation to describe how mixed cultures come in late and reinterpret what came before, breaking down calcified structures. Cultures can survive through translation or exchange and interaction. They can be renewed by allowing different cultures to emerge. Mixed cultures under state operation are weakened because they are unable to achieve this renewal. In his parables, Baba speaks of the advantages of immigrants and their children, the biculturalists, the children of migrants moving from the borderland of the two cultures in question and challenge the traditions of both sides and become subversive against the patterns of both cultures. If well organized, this can serve renewal and development. But if suppressed by a totalitarian state, it can lead to crime, evil, and fundamentalist fanaticism. The person who encounters a new culture and becomes a translator disrupts strictly defined identities in the moment of communication. He represents both sides and at the same time completely destroys the notion of representation and creates a third side. The child of the migrant opens a different space from both sides. It participates in communication actively or passively and in its intermediate position. The translator also creates an intermediate culture. Since cultural interactions are always reciprocal, migrants also impact the culture and language in which they live. According to Bhabha, the translation moment is especially vital for rooted cultures as these cultures needed to be translated, transformed into something else to survive. An established culture, especially imposed under state hegemony, is doomed to lag behind the times and recent change. The translator is one of the elements that will force this change. The stuckness between two cultures can be the key to change. As Walter Benjamin emphasizes, cultural translation is a strategic destruction and reinterpretation. Translator's culture is destroyed or unformed. He interprets the culture he encounters and creates an intermediate space. Let us comment on Bhabha's phenomenon of the translator. More and more people are becoming translators due to various circumstances. People discovering their ethnicity and defending their differences increase the number of translators in the world. Ukraine, Syria, and many other wars are increasing the number of migrants. Young people are leaving their countries due to economic problems, hopelessness about the future, and dictatorships in underdeveloped countries. For these and other reasons, the number of translators is increasing. Media and rapid hybridization are turning new generations into translators. Old systems oppress people all over the world. As a result, there are two possibilities. The first possibility is a world where the crime rate is high and hooliganism and fundamentalist ideologies are maximized everywhere. The second possibility is the beginning of a process where translators will evolve or overthrow the old system. Let's see what time will show. Goodbye.